Central Pollution Control Board, the CPCB. And honestly, it's revealed something pretty alarming about the food that's ending up on our plates. So let's dive into what they found, because this is a major wake-up call for every single one of us. It's a tough question, right? But it's one we absolutely have to ask, because based on this new data, the answer for a lot of people might actually be yes. The fresh vegetables you're buying, thinking you're doing something healthy, well, they could be doing the complete opposite. And look, we're not talking about a small, fringe problem here. The report discovered that over a quarter, 25% of all the vegetables they sampled in and around the major city of Bangalore were contaminated with hazardous materials. Think about that. That's 1 in every 4 vegetables carrying a toxic load. Okay, so let's get into the specifics of this toxic discovery. We're going to unpack the key findings from this report to really understand just how deep this problem goes. First up, heavy metals. So the team tested 72 different vegetable samples, and the results were, well, they're staggering. More than a quarter of them, that's 19 out of 72, had levels of lead that were way over the safety limits. And lead, we all know, is a powerful neurotoxin, especially for kids. And if you're thinking, well, I'll just buy organic and I'll be safe, you might want to listen to this. In what is maybe the most shocking finding, a brinjal, that's an eggplant, that was specifically labeled organic was found to have lead levels 20 times higher than the legal limit. That points to a massive breakdown in certification and trust. You know, the problem isn't just on the surface of these vegetables. This chart really gets to the root of the issue. Literally, when the researchers tested the soil where these veggies were grown, they found that almost all of it, 23 out of 26 samples, was already contaminated. The poison is in the ground itself. And it doesn't stop with heavy metals. The report also found 12 different kinds of pesticides above the safety limits. And get this, one of them, a chemical called monocrotophos, was officially banned in India back in 2023. So not only is it toxic, it shouldn't even be for sale, let alone on our food. So here's the crucial takeaway, and this comes directly from the CPBC report itself. This isn't just about a few bad farmers or a few bad vegetables. They're calling it a systemic failure, a fundamental breakdown of the entire chain that's supposed to keep our food safe, from the farm all the way to our fork. So the big question is, how did we even get here? Well, the report points to a core cause, something it calls the irrigation trap. And it's a vicious cycle that's directly tied to the way our cities are growing. So here's what that means. As our cities get bigger and bigger, they put this incredible strain on water resources. That leads to scarcity, which then forces farmers on the edges of the city to use whatever water they can get. And often that means untreated or poorly treated wastewater from the city, which is just full of industrial chemicals and heavy metals. This slide really breaks down that chain reaction. It all kicks off with rapid urban growth, which leads to water scarcity. Then farmers, who are desperate for water, have to turn to that industrial and urban wastewater to irrigate their crops. And finally, the plants themselves just soak up these toxins, like lead, right into their tissues. And here is what makes this whole situation so dangerous. You can't just wash this contamination away. It's not like dirt or some pesticides that sit on the surface. These heavy metals become a part of the plant. They get absorbed into the roots, the stems, the leaves. So washing or even peeling your vegetables does absolutely nothing to get rid of this internal poison. This crisis creates what the report calls a silent health tax. It's a cost that we don't pay for at the grocery store, but one that we pay for later with our long-term health, our environment, and the failure of our public institutions. This table lays out the 3 dimensions of that cost perfectly. So in public health, we're looking at everything from cognitive problems in kids to higher risks of cancer and Parkinson's. For governance, it's a total breakdown. You've got weak enforcement and agencies just playing a blame game. And environmentally, the soil itself becomes this toxic sinking asset, while the farmers are often just victims with no other choices. Now, it's tempting to look at this study and think, oh, well, that's just a Bangalore problem. But that would be a huge mistake. What's happening there is a massive warning sign for every single rapidly growing city, not just in India, but all over the world. And this gets us right to the heart of the matter, something you could call the urbanization paradox. Our expanding cities need more and more food to survive. But the very process of that growth, all the waste they produce, the water they pollute, is contaminating the very farmland that's supposed to be feeding them. Okay, so after all that pretty grim news, is there a way out? The report says yes, but we have to shift our thinking. We have to stop just reacting to these scary headlines and start proactively engineering a safer food system from the ground up. It's time to get to work. First, you've got to fix the problem at the source, the water and the soil. That means upgrading our sewage treatment plants so they can actually filter out heavy metals, not just organic waste. It also means changing government programs like soil health cards so they're not just testing for nutrients, but also for poisons. Second, our rules and regulations have to have actual teeth. We need rapid testing labs set up right in the major wholesale markets, the mandis, to catch this contaminated food before it ever hits the stores. And a fully digitized system to track pesticide sales could stop banned chemicals from ever reaching the farms in the first place. And finally, technology can be a real game changer here, creating the kind of transparency we desperately need. Just imagine using a QR code on your vegetables to see exactly what farm they came from and check the quality of the water used to grow them. Tech like blockchain can actually make that kind of farm-to-fork traceability a reality. So we end on this critical question. This report is so much more than just an indictment of our food system. It's a direct challenge to our entire model of urban growth. As our cities continue to expand, breaking this cycle of the irrigation trap is one of the most urgent jobs we have. And how we answer this question will define the health of our cities, our environment, and ultimately ourselves.